Welcome to the Blooming League of Original Podcasts.
G'day and welcome to an extra fermented edition of Thrash and Treasure, the torture chamber musical comedy podcast that works up a hard-earned thirst, and a hard-earned thirst needs a big cold beer, and the best cold beer is not paying us to advertise. And speaking of check please, you can make it out to Aaron, and I'm joined as usual by nobody, because guess what me? We have another legendary Olivier Award-winning diva on the soundstage today, so up the holes we go, because this never-fading man promises to blow our little show out of all proportion. Now hear me out and let's all look away, well, underneath and underpass, for the greater good as we suffer this frozen lake of quiet frustrations and obsolete lessons not learned in our histories and your secret self, whether you're the introvert or extra. But now that you know this perfect weakness is the comfort of strangers, get comfortable as we strangely shout a beer and a huge Aussie g'day to this brilliantly brooding brewer and fully sick Kentish Belle, whose indie rock group creates no divisions, only distance over time. From Camelot in Year Zero to the island states of America for his upcoming debut on the corner of Sunset Boulevard and Broadway, because we're joined by a Welsh icon and cunning little vixen who can do what he can did since the rakes progressed him into the performing arts, where he was caught in a trial by jury after taking the tailor's daughter on a date to the roller diner, which mustard help him put the saucy in the sorcerer's apprentice. So mayo, chili down and catch up with this mint muso over a barbecue after we've come from away and past a dozen or so more theatre credits, which saw him crucify Jesus Christ Superstar and slay Sweeney Todd, which left him suicidal and Les Misérables, as only the brave can be. So we can only be brave as we welcome into our torture chamber a leading Lothario and harmonising heartthrob via Welsh war child, whose Olivier Award-winning passion hypnotised Christine as the Phantom, then made her die as Raoul, but luckily love never dies, so she loves him still, even though in this carnival it's only men allowed. And that sounds less sexist in my head, and not as gay. So before I get myself cancelled, it's time to raise your beer to a star so handsome he might very well be my unborn twin, and cheers to Broadway's latest debutante, Mr. David Thaxton. Yay, welcome to the torture chamber. Excuse me while I die.
That was extraordinary. Thanks so much. That was extraordinary. Wow.
They are a killer.
You good?
Yeah, I hadn't practiced that one.
That was amazing. Wow. Thanks so much. Extraordinary.
That's right. I did warn you beforehand, and to the listeners at home, I was getting all worked up before we started recording, just about talking about different things and stuff, and now I'm like way out of breath and my face is probably red as anything.
No, it's phenomenal.
With all the lights, I'm pasty as Casper. But anyways, how are you going? Thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Thanks for having me. This is very exciting.
You are about to hit Broadway, and have your mates been prepping you for this American style of theatre and ego?
Yes, I am about to hit Broadway. I've got a few friends who've done it, and I have sought their counsel, and yeah, it's exciting. It's very exciting. I'm very excited. It's big. It's big, man. There's no getting away from it. It's a big one.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, look, some people work their ass off, and there's a whole conversations about what's a Broadway performer and who's not, and blah, 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 blah. And it is like, it's a peak that people work at. Even people on West End work to get on Broadway.
It is, in all seriousness. It is, if you're an actor, or particularly a musical theatre actor, that's a theatre actor, it's the pinnacle. It will be the pinnacle of my career. So yeah, it is. It's awesome. And I cannot wait to revisit what we did and do some new stuff and see what happens. I think it'll be very exciting.
Yep. Well, they say it gets darkest before it gets light. So welcome to the show.
Right.
Yep. Some advice by proxy from Hadley Fraser. Don't be moving a chair backstage or anything like that. You're going to get told off by a crew member.
Oh, yeah. I've heard about that. Yeah. I had that. Yeah. I have had one experience of that. I went to New York to learn Come From Away because I joined the original cast here halfway through because David Shannon left early, and they sent me to New York to learn it.
Why not just down the road.
It was because our director was directing something else, so was unable to do it. And they were putting 2 new standbys into the North American tour in New York. So they flew me out there to learn with them. And we had one day rehearsing in the theatre on the stage. And obviously, come from where it's all chairs. You move chairs yourself. All you do for 90 minutes is move chairs around.
Yep.
And so we rehearsed one bit. And then I went to put my chair that I'd been using back where it came from, and this guy just got up out of the wings and waddled over. And hey, you gotta put that down. I gotta do that. You can't do that. I gotta do that. I was like, okay. And he just took it off me and moved it 4 feet and put it down somewhere else. And then he sort of waddled back. I was like, oh man, okay, that's really weird. So yeah,
Whatever helps him sleep at night.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Goodness gracious me. Now, obviously, we're talking about you're making your debut in Sunset Boulevard, this amazing production that took London by storm, but we've got more on that later. But first up, you've got a solo gig coming up.
Yeah.
But by the time this episode drops, it will have been. Sorry, I couldn't make it. I wasn't invited. So how did it go?
Let's say it was really great and incredibly well attended, and and it was just a wonderful evening was had by all. Let's say that.
Yeah.
Let's say that went well. Yeah, it went really well. Thanks.
Awesome. Did you get lots of knickers thrown on the stage? Or do people not do that anymore?
No one does that anymore.
Oh God, people are boring.
Very like Tom Jones circa 1968 or whatever.
Yeah. We had a guest on recently. They've had that happen to them.
Well, actual knickers.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's in a boy band, like a 4-piece harmonizing group. And they did a Vegas residency and everything. And a lot of knickers have been thrown on the stage, and a lot of babies conceived to their music too. So you can look forward to that in the future.
Great. Yeah. Excellent. Good.
Anyways, so obviously you own a bar, a pub. I think that's amazing. Am I getting that right? You are a publican?
I am a publican. It's a really great micro pub called the Kentish Belle in Bexley Heath in London. Yeah, I'm a big beer enthusiast, been a massive real ale and craft beer geek for years and years and years. And when you're an actor and you're out of work and when you're between jobs, as they say, you can go temping or whatever when you're 23 and have no responsibilities and you don't care about that stuff, that's fine. But when you're 42 and, you have stuff going on like a baby and, a mortgage and all the rest of it, temping and the downtimes don't seem to cut it so much. So I needed something happening alongside the acting for the in-between times and just a bit of stability. And I've been drinking in this place for years since it opened. It's real ale and craft beer mecca. It's been superb, run by a great guy called Nick. And I was in there one day and I was talking to him and I said, is this place for sale? And he said, yeah, it's kind of, because he was leaving to become a train driver, as you do.
Yeah.
The Kentish Belle is a train. It is named after a train.
Okay.
Initially, you see. And so we talked about it a lot more. And then it all happened last September. So 3 things happened almost instantly at the same time. Was we had a baby, me and my wife Nancy had our little boy Callon.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. 6 weeks after that, I started rehearsals for Sunset Boulevard. And then about 4 weeks after that, the purchase of the pub went through. So these sort of 3 colossal events all happened at the same time. And it was quite a lot to deal with. Because it turns out I was quite naive. I think, that'll be great. And it'll all tick along really nicely. And it turns out when you own a business, you think about it all the live long day. It turns out it occupies a lot of your thoughts.
Yep.
So yeah, I've been coming to terms with that and preparing everything. Because obviously I'm not going to be there for quite a while. So I've been preparing everything for me stepping away and, in a very legal sense, moving to America.
I had to ask about that because growing up, between the years of like 85 and 90, I couldn't have been much later than that. My auntie and uncle owned a pub, and I can remember very vividly the topless barmaid.
Whoa.
I remember I was very young. I was like between the ages of 1 and 5 years old. So I was born in 85. I remember the topless barmaid, and I remember sitting on the back steps. I remember the rooms upstairs. So all week while preparing this episode, I've just been having these flashbacks of this pub. And
wow.
I remember their cat as well that they had there. And I also remember going across the road, there was a nursery and there was a bird cage with cockatoos. And I remember we used to go dance, cocky dance. Oh, it's the stupidest memory, but we used to make the cockies dance.
Yeah.
This is so long ago.
Incredible how these things come back to you.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have topless staff.
Yeah, it's not really a thing these days, is it? Just like the knickers on the stage.
Yeah, exactly.
If I walked in there tomorrow, which is not going to happen because I'm not getting to England anytime soon or to Wales anytime soon, what Aussie beers are available?
There are currently no Aussie beers available. We have had some, and there's a myth. Well, I don't know if it's a myth, but there's that thought about Australian beer is that it's shit, isn't it? That's what we all think of.
No. We send you guys the shit beer. We send you guys the Fosters.
Yeah, which is brewed in Manchester, isn't it? It's the same thing as American beer. Everyone thinks American beer here for the longest time. Everyone thought it was just all Budweiser and it's awful. But it's like American beer is the greatest beer in the world. So yeah, there's some very exciting Australian beer, I think.
Yeah.
We don't have any in the pub at the minute.
Well, I recommend the one that I didn't advertise in my opening intro, which I'll have to send you the commercial. You wouldn't have got any of that hard-earned thirst thing. That was a beer commercial that we used to have here.
Right, I see. Okay, great. Yeah.
For like the most bogan, most Aussie beer that there is. That's not Foster's, obviously, because we send that overseas.
Yeah.
Foster's is Australian. Hang on, what is it? Shit for beer in Australian or something. I don't know. There was a whole saying, a whole joke. But
Oh, I see. Yeah.
anyways, before we move on, speaking of Australia, home and away or neighbours?
Is that a question to me?
Yeah.
I used to watch both. I would say Neighbours, though. I preferred Neighbours. I can remember feeling very passionate about the Kennedys' status within the neighbourhood when Carl had that affair and how it rocked everyone because of their...
With Izzy?
Yeah, that's right. Is he his secretary? How? Yeah, that was a real blow to everyone because the Kennedys were sort of such a moral compass.
It was. I remember the day that Carl Kennedy told Izzy that he loved her. That night I went to a karaoke party and Alan Fletcher was there and I sang Grease Lightning with him.
No way.
And Tainted Love. And I had my mohawk, I had my leather jacket, my tartan pants, which are not the same ones that I'm wearing now.
Oh, man.
And actually earlier that day was my brother's wedding rehearsal. What, all these random memories coming back to me.
Extraordinary. I'd love to meet Alan Fletcher. I always thought he'd be great to go and have a pint with. He seemed like a really solid guy.
He was absolutely lovely, and so was his wife, Jennifer, who is a newsreader in Australia. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Okay.
Yeah, well, he got up with this strange kid and this strange punk.
Yeah.
And sang 2 songs, not just one.
That's just one up. Good on him. Yeah. All right. I like him even more now.
Absolutely crazy. But anyways, we're going to move on to the middle now. Now, if you could put together your ultimate rock supergroup, who would be in it?
That's a great question. This is rock, not metal. Does it have to be really heavy or
whatever? We'll give free reign on this one.
Okay, drummer would be Josh Freese of the Vandals and A Perfect Circle and now Foo Fighters.
It's in Ape Drape, the Vandals. I've got an Ape Drape. Yes, I do. Cool. All right.
Nice. The listeners can't see your face. It's just it's nice.
I was proud.
Yeah, it was really good. He is like the best drummer in the world. I think he's unreal. Yeah, I just love his playing. He's brilliant. Okay, so yeah, I'd have him. I'd have oh man. Oh, what's his name? I'm not sure of his name. I'm going to Google it. So I'm going to be accurate.
Let's see. This is what a co-host is for.
We see, I'll be your co-host. Here we go. Yeah, so Josh Freese on drums. Love that guy. Man alive. Oh, no, God. They can see this shows how out of the loop I am. A guy called Ben Kenny, who up until recently was the bassist in Incubus. But I see they've had a lineup change. God, he is a talent. His playing is extraordinary. Like, extraordinary. So I'd have him. I'd have... How many members am I allowed? Is it like a straight up like vocals, guitars, bass, drums, or...
About four, 5, yeah, I guess. 5 if you want to add a brass section, I guess.
Add a brass section. Okay, a guitar, probably Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine.
Yep.
There's just, needs no further discussion. And vocals. Okay, I think one of the most underrated singers in rock history, if not the most underrated singer in rock history, is James Dean Bradfield from Manic Street Preachers. He's also a wonderful guitarist. So.
Okay, wow. I couldn't tell you what they sing, but I know of them. So if I was to hear them, I would probably know what they sing.
Oh man, some of their albums are incredible. Check out the Holy Bible. That would go really well on this podcast, actually, because it's dark, super dark.
Yeah. We could do that with something like Sister Act, the musical.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Absolutely perfect.
All right, awesome.
Hilarious.
Now, what would be in your ultimate rock star rider? Over the top, no water.
No, definitely not water. A really great range of it would probably be a load of craft beer. A really great range from some session pales all the way through to big double IPAs or even a triple IPA afterward. Yeah, 2 dog beds so my dogs can sit in the dressing room with me. Although I'm looking at them right now and they're sharing the one bed and having a lovely cuddle.
Oh.
Yeah, they're adorable. They're two Hungarian Vizslas, so they're quite big and orange. What else? Oh, God, what else? I'm very boring. I'm very, very boring. Just a really nice range of craft beer. Like really, really extensive. Something for everyone. Some crazy stuff in there as well. Yeah, we'll really go to town on that.
Awesome. All righty. We'll move on to the middle now. It's funny that the people that you put in your ultimate rock supergroup were all from bands that you had picked. You had first picked A Perfect Circle's Fish Food, Murder Noms, which we did with your Only the Brave co-star Caroline Sheen.
Yep, lovely Caroline.
Which there's a pro shot of that. What?
There is, yeah. Have you seen it?
I have now seen some of it.
That was mad. We were very proud of that.
We're going to have to cover that on the show, I think.
It's a good show, man. And, she's wonderful, obviously. She's fantastic.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, so we did Fish Food with Caroline. We did Incubus Science, which was the other album you suggested. We'd already done that with Dominic Burgess. You also mentioned Rage Against the Machine, which I thought we maybe had done it. And then there was another album you mentioned that we'd also done. So I felt awful, but yeah, we arrived on Rage Against the Machine's titular album.
Yeah.
So before we get into that, do you want to hear my review?
I do want to hear your review. First of all, I'll just say, I said this during the week, I'm astonished no one has picked this. It's the most iconic and important albums of the last 30 years. I can't really, anyway, lovely. Good stuff.
Yeah, as long as one of us doesn't know it, that's fine. But I didn't know this album. I knew, obviously, Killing in the Name of, so I'm going to get into it. I apologize in advance.
Hit me. This is exciting.
People, please don't cancel me. When we first chose to Rage Against the Machine, the album cover looked familiar on account of being everywhere in white suburbia 1993 upon release. But never having heard anything beyond Killing in the Name, I didn't know if this album would bomb or be da bomb. So when I discovered the opening number, I wasn't optimistic. Bomb track exploded onto my Spotify with a grunt and some slime, and admittedly sounded like the same band which released Killing in the Name. Oh, I guess that's what people mean when they say they love Rage Against the Machine, but only know that one hit. And speaking of which, we'll give it a miss, as I have heard this same 6 lyrics a million times or more, and at over 5 minutes long. Take the Power Back takes me back into unfamiliar yet familiar waters, with the band's musical sound becoming apparent after 3 tracks. As the album progresses, I try to pay attention to the political messages within the fiercely delivered lyrics, which are easier to understand in Settle, but all I can think of is how the anti-woke crowd probably love this band without realizing how woke it is. 5 stars for that alone. Bullet in the Head got me thinking, and with a slightly more funky, less angry delivery, feels more measured. Know Your Enemy continues the pointed anti-fascist, anti-establishment themes whilst giving us a spelling lesson. But Wake Up concerns me. If you need to tell your listeners to wake up by track 7, then tracks 1 to 6 were maybe too long. But subtlety is clearly not what this legendary outfit is after. So with 10 tracks coming in at 55 minutes, it's saved by a vibe delivered in funky, punk-infused rap metal, but it just makes me sad that all 10 songs still apply to today's society. 1 star for that. As for this album, I was delivered exactly what I expected, if maybe a bit more than what I wanted. 4 stars.
Nice.
So I think the songs were a little bit too long, and there was maybe, I didn't say it in my review, maybe not as much variety as what I was hoping for.
Sure.
So therefore it became at 55 minutes became a little bit too much.
Yeah.
I guess. And when you're on the same side as a lot of pretty much all these lyrics, it's like preaching to the choir in a way.
Yes.
So, which I have a total problem with.
It's the sound of a band really setting their stall out, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, like, there is variation, musical development and stuff on subsequent albums, but I agree. Yeah, Rage Against the Machine, the titular album, is very in your face. This is what, we are Rage Against the Machine from Los Angeles, California. This is what we do. Yeah, for sure.
And it's dramatic, and you hear the drama in his voice. I mean, in a lot of ways, it's a bit screamy, but that's that anger that I say it about punk all the time. There's short songs about the oppressed.
Yeah.
And these were long songs about the oppressed.
Yeah.
So there was that mentality there.
They are long. I've re-listening to it this week ahead of this. You're right. I that's something I noticed. It's like I'd never really thought of. If you'd have said to me a week ago, is Rage Against the Machine full of other songs on that album long? I would have said no. They're catchy 3-minute bangers. But actually, they are long, and they do sort of. There's breakdowns, and they build back up, and it goes. There's a lot of that. A lot of that. I saw Rage Against the Machine in Wembley Arena in 1999 on their Battle of Los Angeles tour. It was one of the first gigs I ever went to. God, was it 1999 or 2000? One of them. Anyway, they were brutal. Just the power and energy they created was, oh man, yeah, amazing. I feel very lucky to have seen them. They're an astonishing band.
Yeah, that comes through in the music very much so. The lyrics were a bit hard to follow, I think probably because that screamy thing, and also I do have problems with keeping up with lyrics constantly.
Yeah.
Because my mind tends to wander. As I say, I kept going to memories of topless barmaids when I was 4 years old.
It was suburban Australia in 1989.
Good.
Yeah.
That's it. But like this, obviously they're iconic themselves just for their work. But Killing in the Name became a Christmas #1 single in 2009.
It did indeed, yeah. It
Like
did indeed.
16 years later or something.
Yeah.
Which joins the ranks of Bohemian Rhapsody, Another Brick in the Wall Part 2, and several Beatles songs. And nowadays it's YouTube parodies.
Yeah. I remember buying Killing in the Name that year because me and all my friends were very excited about the idea of an X Factor singer not being Christmas #1 and this huge fuck you anthem being Christmas #1 instead. And then one of my cleverer friends pointed out that Simon Cowell owned Rage Against the Machine's record company and so basically Simon Cowell owned everything. So it doesn't matter who was Christmas #1, Simon Cowell was getting all the money. Oh, that's a shame.
Yep.
But the Thought was a good one. The Thought was a positive one. And then they played it, and I didn't go. I couldn't go. They played a free gig in Finsbury Park to celebrate.
Yeah, I read about that. They also did a live lounge gig where they were on air because they refused to change the lyric.
Well, it's Five Live. Have you can see it. It's on YouTube.
Oh, is it?
They're on Five Live. They play this and they play it all live. Off the top of my head, this might be wrong. I think it's Eleanor Oldroyd. No, it's not Eleanor Oldroyd. It's Sheila Fogarty. I think it's Sheila Fogarty.
Yes, it was. I remember her name because it's the Irish Sheila. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. And she's there with the co-host, and they played the whole song, and then they get to the end bit, which this is a sweary podcast, isn't it? Duncan Sheik was effing and jiffing all over the place. So that you get to the "fuck you, I won't do what you tell me" section, which they then play live, of course.
Yeah.
And I can remember the sort of the shock and the horror from Sheila Fogarty. It's like, well, they promised they wouldn't do that. And I think, well, what did you think they were going to do? What did you say? Oh, you can come and play, but you can't play the end bit. Like, all right, yeah, fine. What did you think was going to happen? Anyway, yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah, you have to expect it. It's like they played on Saturday Night Live. Well, they played one song on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
But the flag was inverted or upside down or something like that.
Right, there you go.
And they didn't come back for the second song.
Yeah, funny that. Like,
what are you expecting? Like I guess as time's gone on, we've stopped loving the bad boy.
Yeah.
Quote unquote the bad boy or the bad girl.
Yeah. Their morals, I think, are very sound.
Yeah.
Tom Morello he's an absolute, he's great, I think. Like he's someone I'd love to meet. I think he's got a lot of time for him.
And Tom Morello should totally come on this show.
That would be, I mean...
We can't book any metal guests. We can book all these Hollywood and Broadway legends. Can't book any metal or Australian.
What would Tom Morello's musical be? That's what I want to know.
We would pick like the most classical, like Carousel or something like that, just to...
Yeah, give him Hello Dolly.
We make this a torture chamber normally. You got away scot-free this time, obviously.
That's amazing. You should get like, obviously it works this way around. You get musical theatre people to come and talk about metal albums because that's funny. But it should so be the other way around. That would be incredible.
I know, we try 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, trying to keep this show going.
Be immense.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who I know. I don't know. That would be incredible. That would be incredible.
Oh goodness me, I don't know. It blows my mind. Yeah, Tom Morello should definitely come on this show.
Yeah, if you're listening, Tom, you should.
Yeah, I don't think there's really much you can say about them that's not been like they're one of those very storied bands as well. They've done that many stunt gigs and
yeah, they played on the Wall Street. Yeah,
taking all their clothes off or whatever, just putting their flag upside down on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. No, I don't. I think given the sort of, as you say, like quote unquote bad boy nature of some of the stuff they do or their actions, I said earlier, I think that morally they are very sound and in the right place. And so I think it's it's just fighting injustice, which is easy to mock sometimes.
Well, that's where we're at now, though.
The world's shit, man. So it's exactly where we're at. We need, isn't it? Have you been following the US election coverage?
Oh, it's there. It's another circus in town, really.
Man alive. So I'm a big political geek as well. So this year I get to live in two countries where
You get to be there.
Yeah, we had our election here and I'm going to be there for their election. So it's very, very exciting.
In the room where it happens.
I'm going to be in the room where it happens. Exactly. Yeah. So that for me, just on a political point of view, that is fascinating and very exciting.
Yeah.
But I'm staggered by the turnaround in what's happened with Kamala Harris, with this, how quickly things can change.
Yeah. Let's just hope it wasn't too quickly.
Well, yeah.
But so that's where we're at the moment, though, that like I mentioned in my review, that if the anti-woke crowd was to sit down and listen to these lyrics,
oh yeah,
suddenly they wouldn't be saying, "Oh, I love Rage Against the Machine."
You're so right. You can guarantee there's millions of frat bros out there who detest wokery and love Killing in the Name and have absolutely no idea what they're singing about.
Yeah. And so, like, if this band was to come about today, they wouldn't survive. And I don't think a song like Killing in the Name would be as critically acclaimed after we've just had Who Run the World Girls, Who Run the World Girls, Who Run the World Girls, which got slaughtered for not having lyrics. As I say, Killing in the Name only has about 6 lines in it that are repeated all the way through it.
Yeah.
And not to say it's a bad song or anything like that. I mean, it's a little bit overly long for something that it doesn't have much lyrical content. But it is such a massive hit and so beloved. Would it have gone down well today?
Who knows? I don't know. It is of its time. I'll definitely give you that. It's of its time.
But it's also of today. That's the scary thing. It's still, all these songs were so relevant to today.
But yeah, there you go. But that's what we don't learn, do we?
No.
We just go round and round and round in circles. If you go and put OK Computer on, I will always find a way of shoehorning Radiohead into any discussion. If you put OK Computer on and listen to it, it is still as fresh now as it was in 1997. And that feeling of alienation and, like recycled air, reconstituted air on an airplane, and that the sort of all those thoughts and feelings that album invokes, they're just as important and as pertinent now as they were then. And Rage Against the Machine, there's so much to be pissed off about. Yeah. Still, but I guess that never ends, does it? I don't know.
Yeah, and it feels like we started going up like that, and now we're just going down here again. Anyways, it looks like we destroyed the establishment, so we're gonna go to the ad break so we can appease the man. Oh. From the producers of Thrash and Treasure, Around the World in 80 Plays, starring the adorable Lizzie B and Alfie Parker, and featuring the star of the show, Dolly the dog, they'll take you for a trip around the UK, exploring the rich arts and cultural history. But here is a sneak peek.
G'day, Struth Elsa. It's time for another crack at Around the World in 80 Plays. I'm Alfie Parker and that's
Lizzie B.
And we're joined by the official sister act, the musical support dog, Dolly the dog.
Woof woof.
This week, Alfie and the tour of and the sister act tour crew have united in Manchester for the 14th stop on this cross-country tour, while Lizzie has been busy being brilliant at the Dominion Theatre for Sister Act, the musical in the West End. Sister Act, Sister Act, Sister Act. So, how's this week been for you, Lizzie?
It's been lovely, thank you. We're officially open in London's glittering West End now, and we've had our press night. So, yeah, it's been go, go, go. Lots of excitement here.
I'm jealous. I'll be honest. I'm a little bit jealous.
You don't have anything to be jealous of. You're still doing the same show as me.
I am.
I just have a star-studded cast, which meant that press night was pretty iconic because we had like the whole cast of Gavin and Stacey there.
Yeah, well, I worked with Ruth before you in Dublin.
You did, to be fair. The thing is, press night was lovely, but all my mum wanted was a photo with Lamar.
Yeah, but he is gorgeous.
He is gorgeous. Those eyes.
Lamar, if you're listening, big fan. Well, let me get up notepad. Let me tell you about the Palace in Manchester. The Palace Theatre was originally known as the Grand Old Lady of Oxford Street, and it opened on the 18th of May, 1891, having been designed by the architect Alfred, Derbyshire, at the cost of £40,500.
Another Alfred, eh?
It's pretty. Yeah, it's a great name. Yeah, so that's 40,500 pounds. It cost to design the theatre.
What's that in today's money?
Well, this was 1891, so that's got to be millions, right?
Let's have a look. What was it?
40,500.
In 1891?
Yeah.
1891 money. An inflation rate of 3.89% per year. Let's have a look. Inflation calculator.
It's going to be a lot.
Goods and services costing. What was it? Here we go. Spencer's done it.
There we go. Spencer's done it. Yeah, 6 million.
Just to design it.
Yeah, designed by the architect at a cost of, yeah. I guess that must have been to build as well, surely. Yeah, so like 6.5 million. Yeah. So £6.5 million today, but it was £40,500. The Palace Theatre was redecorated and altered in 1896 to the designs of the renowned theatre architect Frank Matcham.
Hey, we love you, Frank. We do.
And he again worked on some improvements to the theatre in 1899.
Alfie's favourite thing to do at warm-up is just to look up and go, is this a Matcham theatre?
Well, it's funny, actually, because I've got something about Frank here. Frank Matcham was an English architect who specialised in the design of theatres and music halls. He designed at least 80 theatres and renovated many more.
I have actually told that fact before.
Sorry.
So...
He died in like 1940, didn't he?
Also, I'm so sorry to interrupt, and Aaron, keep this in if you want, but Dolly has just done the most disgusting fart in my dressing room. And because I've got fans on, it absolutely stinks.
Right, are we keeping that in?
That is awful. Oh, no, I'm so sorry. It's literally like in the back of my throat.
Anyways, we're back with Thrash and Treasure. I'm Aaron, and I'm having a Brew-haha with our unborn twin, Mr. David Thaxton. So, if you could turn a video game into a musical and a musical into a video game, what would they be?
Great question. I'd turn, it would be one of the Grand Theft Autos. I'm just trying to think which one.
Yeah.
One of the ones that are set, Vice City, maybe? Oh, God, I don't know. A Grand Theft Auto would be great. I think that would make a great musical. Or maybe Red Dead Redemption 2 would make, actually, that's a better one. That would be a good musical.
Yeah.
And what musical would I turn into a video game? Sweeney Todd. There's a lot of sort of, think of here, there's a big arc there, and there's a big difficulty level in pulling off the thing.
There's a whole story of how he got to go to Tasmania.
Yeah, exactly.
You could have a prequel story there.
Exactly.
Someone else or they, or I don't know, we record so many conversations. I think then to bring in other old Victorian characters like Jack the Ripper.
Great. Perfect. Yeah, lovely.
That would totally work.
That's a good answer. You could turn Come From Away into a video game, but you have to do all the exact staging for the show. You have to learn the show and do it, and the goal be having a completely clean run, which I think happened to me twice.
I thought you were meaning like to be in Gander and you've got to play as all the different people and you've got to look after everyone, and just like human Tamagotchis, you've got to keep everyone alive and happy and healthy.
That's quite sort of placid, but that would work. But yeah, but I just mean on a very like those dance ones that you see at arcades.
Yep.
That kind of thing, where you just have to very specifically do everything you do in Come From Away, and you can play each character and see how close to 100% you get, because that doesn't happen in. I think I had a clean show 3 times in 6 months, maybe less than 3. So. Oh,
there you go. I saw it twice. I don't think they were exactly the same both times. That's all I'm going to say. You are doing Sunset Boulevard, so that's going to be our musical for today, and I have reviewed that as well. 4 stars. Okay. Because this is very much Andrew Lloyd Webber. His branding comes through here.
Yeah.
You've got classic Hollywood comes through in here, but you get the camp of the film. Now, it doesn't get a 5 stars because the original movie to me is very much a comedy. It's very much Hollywood. Like,
Right.
girl, you're so crazy. Like, I love us. Like, aren't we so crazy?
Right.
Because you've got all these Hollywood people in it. It's about the fading star system, or about the star system. It's about the ego. It's about all that.
Yep.
It's about delusion.
Oh, God, yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
and it's Hollywood very much patting themselves on the back, saying, yeah, you know, aren't we just so crazy? But I didn't get that in the musical. So I didn't get the comedy, but I did get the high camp. I got the drama.
Yeah.
I listened to 2 different recordings. Glenn Close was actually better than Patty. I'm definitely cutting that out because I don't want Patty coming after me.
I would agree for what it's worth.
Patty just sang it. Glenn Close, maybe too much, turned into Cruella de Vil, and I think that was a problem for me. Had I heard it before seeing 101 Dalmatians in 1996,
Yes.
I would be able to separate it perhaps, because I would have had that couple of years of knowing Glenn Close as Norma Desmond, but
Yeah, which came first, of course.
it came first, that's it. But I hadn't heard anything beyond With One Look
Right.
and As If We Never Say Goodbye.
As if we
Thought
never
that
say
one-
goodbye, yeah.
Yeah, those two sort of, I'd heard them on the radio, so I don't even know if it was Glenn Close singing them. However, the production in Australia had Hugh Jackman as Joe Gillis.
Yes.
Now, my only real, if you had said to me, you know, 2 weeks ago, Sunset Boulevard, I would have gone, Sunset Boulevard, Lethal Boulevard.
Nice.
And I'm impersonating Hugh Jackman there.
Yeah.
Because that was in the commercial in 1997 or 1996 when he did it here, and the production
Yeah.
flopped. It wasn't like it didn't do well at all.
Oh, okay. Wow, I didn't know that.
And there was a whole thing with the Norma Desmond. She was sick all the time, so her alternate was going on.
Right.
So, like, my whole life, well, since then, for 20, nearly 30 years, like, anytime I would see Sunset Boulevard, I would impersonate Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman playing Joe Gillis.
Singing that one line.
Yeah.
That's all I really knew of the show. I knew the movie because I've had it on DVD for 20 something years, since like 2004 or something. So
Who got you that? How did you? That's like no one knows about the movie.
I just love movies. I love cinema.
Right. Oh well, if you like cinema, you obviously that's a big one. Astonishing performance. Central performance from Gloria Swanson is wonderful.
Yeah, and not as, like, as I was watching it again just yesterday and today, I noticed that her performance isn't as camp as what I remembered it being.
No.
Like, even the I Am Big, it's the pictures that got small.
Because they got small.
She says it in a very measured way. She doesn't say it in the over-the-top camp way that I was hearing it on the CD, on the album. So in terms of the production, obviously you're doing a remarkably different production.
Well, I would say our production has more in common with the Billy Wilder film than it does the bigger, the mid-90s production, which I loved, by the way. That Sunset Boulevard was a huge thing for me when I was a young musical theatre fan in my teens. I saw it in the West End. I saw it on Broadway as well.
God, can I just... Okay, so you're a straight man loving Sunset Boulevard in your teens in the 90s.
Yeah.
I feel so sorry for you because I thought my life caused trouble.
That was me. I was Mr. Amdram. Then I got into Radiohead and Girls, and it sort of I did a bit less Amdram. But yeah, I saw it in London. I saw it. John Barrowman was Joe Gillis, I think. But the thing I remember most I went to my parents took me to New York just after Christmas in 1996, and we saw Betty Buckley was Norma, Alan Armstrong I think was Joe, Judy Kuhn was Betty Schaefer, and George Hearn was Matt.
Oh, wow.
George bloody Hearn. I got to see George Hearn live, so I was he was my hero, absolute hero.
Like, we get the Aussie stars all the time, but it's very rare for us to get a Sarah Brightman to come over here to do a musical.
Right, yeah.
When it happens, like Richard E. Grant did My Fair Lady, directed by Julie Andrews, which was an Australian tour.
Wow, okay. Yeah.
But like when they did Aladdin, they got one of the Broadway understudies, which offended a hell of a lot of Australian performers because it was like they would see people, anyone who was of a certain weight, but it was like a thank you next.
Yeah.
They knew who they were casting.
They knew who they were casting. Yeah.
Yeah, like the articles went out written by actors saying this is not fair in our industry, blah, 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 blah.
Well, you do have a rich pedigree. There's a rich heritage. That's the thing.
You have them now in the West End. We don't have them anymore because they leave us.
Anthony Warlow, the buck begins and stops for me with him. It always did.
Yeah.
And Philip Quast, obviously, but that I was the thing that was huge for me, the Les Miserables symphonic recording, which just basically, let's just get loads of brilliant Australians. And I always had this thing about, well, the Australians, they're best at this. So maybe that there is a thing there, because people should be offended, because you have such a rich pedigree and heritage in your performers.
We do. Well, something that people don't really think about is that when you're at the top or near the top, or, in that upper echelon of your industry in your country, and then you lose out to somebody from another country's industry who isn't in that top echelon, the top tier talent, if you will, like that will fuck your ego around a bit, no matter who you are. And I say that with all respect. I really do. It will throw the confidence out. I did want to bring this up, or not all that up, but just sort of the ego, the delusion, all this sort of thing, because...
Well, we've all got one. That's the thing.
We all have one.
I think those of us that realize we've got one can deal with things a lot better than people who are enslaved to theirs and don't think it's a thing.
That's the thing. You can't let it lead. And
yeah, exactly.
One of the big themes of Sunset Boulevard, because it's Hollywood, but you've got this egocentric, delusional character, and she's faded. She's still living in the past, and the character you play, Max, is obviously enabling that. Good on you.
Just a bit,
yeah. So in your career, obviously, how have you navigated that ego? I hope you don't mind me asking this, because it is obviously a very personal question. Your own and others. That's what I'm interested in.
No, that's a really good question. That's a great question. I think because in terms of others, I've been doing this 20 years nearly. God, yeah. Wow, my God, where does the time go?
I know. Tell me about it.
And you do meet a lot of people along the way who have colossal egos, who are completely in control of them, and that's difficult. Sometimes you just have to ignore those people, or just let them do whatever they want to do, and that, because you can't change anything. Sometimes it really works. I've had a couple of occasions, one particular, where someone who initially seems like they have a mad ego and is very overbearing, when you tell that person to fuck off, suddenly the ego completely pops and disappears and goes away. And then and in that particular case, we've been friends for nearly 20 years. But you have to tell someone to fuck off.
I want to know who. I want to know, but you don't have to tell me.
I will tell you. I'll tell you when we're not recording. But some people like that, you do have to tell them to fuck off, and then and everything's fine. But in terms of my own ego, that's really tricky, because here's a great answer, actually. Listen to me. Here's a great answer.
Here's an example.
Here's an example. When the lockdown happened, I initially got COVID. It's probably the most ill I've ever been in my life. In fact, it definitely was the most ill I've ever been in my life. But once I got better, aside from all the, the horror and all the death and all the madness of it all, I really enjoyed aspects of all of that. One main one being that I couldn't get a job. But what I had never realized was the thing that mattered to me, or one of the things that mattered to me, was that no one else could either. I hadn't realized that I had a sense of freedom and peace that I never, ever have in real life. Because yes, I couldn't get a job, but neither could Killian Donnelly, or neither could Hadley Fraser. And they're friends of mine. And I never bothered. I'd never realized how my ego thinks. It's like, well, you're not doing this. Are you irrelevant? They're doing this. That person's doing this. And it was fascinating to observe that in myself. And I think a lot's changed for me after that, because that made me realize, yes, you do have an ego, and it does need feeding, and you do need to do stuff that makes you feel good about yourself. But also, it's not the be all and end all, and you have to look after yourself a bit more. But it's quite tricky with actors, because so much of who we are is tied into what we do, and people, that happens to varying degrees with different actors. But ultimately, it's about the work. And I'm saying this obviously as someone incredibly fortunate to be able to do what I'm about to do, which is the production we did in London of Sunset Boulevard is probably the most creatively exciting thing I've ever been a part of, because the way Jamie works and the way he directs and the sort of the mindset you get into and the processes you go through are just so exciting, and so, for me anyway, so creatively fulfilling. And so the idea that I get to do that again and refine what we did and find new stuff, but do it on Broadway, obviously my ego is very happy. But if you can just you've got to try and block out the noise and remember that the reason it all worked in the first place was because we were so focused on the work. And in London, it was crazy. It was crazy. It was all Jessica Chastain's come tonight. And
it's going to be worse.
But obviously, I'm aware that it's going to be a different level altogether. But within all of that, that's fine. I think that's okay. That is what it is. That's there. You've just got to let it do its thing and be and exist. The thing that matters is that I can sit down and talk, look Tom in the eye and talk about all the things we talked about before and focus on all the stuff we focused on before. And, and then we help out, or not help out. We just, you work with Nicole in the way that the stuff that she needs to do to help her get to where she needs to get to. And, it's all part of this very exciting process that we discovered. So we just I'm looking forward to getting back and focusing on that. So hopefully therefore your ego can take a back seat because you're just focusing on the work. It's ultimately all about the work. That's what it should be about.
I would love to talk this conversation with Nicole Scherzinger. I tell you that, coming from the pop scene and all that. But that will never happen.
Man, she is a fascinating person. I have so much time for Nicole. She's very, very, very interesting. And I think, I've said this before, and I do mean this. She's the hardest working person I've ever worked with. Her work ethic is staggering. Yeah. It's staggering.
Yeah, like the pop industry she comes from is very glamour. It's very image driven.
Yes, absolutely.
You've got to look a certain way, you've got to stand a certain way, all that jazz. And here she's just bearing her soul basically. And from what I can tell, I obviously haven't seen the production, but
for sure. And she won't mind me saying this. One of the really interesting aspects of our production was when you have someone like her. The first time I heard her sing is "If We Never Say Goodbye." It was in the rehearsal room. There was no staging. It was just her doing it, by herself. And it was jaw-dropping because the thing to remember is she's really good, right? Like she's an amazing singer. She's really, really good. So she sang this song and it was spellbinding and everyone was blown away. And it finished. I turned to look at Jamie Lloyd and he was staring at me, grinning. He's got this sort of when he has. I've talked about this before. He has this grin, this impish, devilish grin when he knows he's onto a winner. And he had this in the audition. Like he knew it would work because I said to him afterwards, he said, "You clever sod. This is all that is a woman singing a song, but it's this woman singing that song."
Yep.
And for all the, Glenn Close aside maybe, but for all the, the Elaine Pages and Betty Buckleys and Patties in the world, Nicole is a genuine superstar. She's internationally colossally famous. She's got like 6.5 million Instagram followers or whatever it is. So to watch an actual star, there's something about it. It was spellbinding. So what was very interesting is that she's someone who works incredibly, incredibly hard. She's the boss of her, right? She's a one-person brand, one-person outfit. Everything is all her.
Hey, like me.
Yeah, just like you. You and Nicole.
Okay, I'm nothing like Nicole Scherzinger. Goodness gracious me. Plus I have a team of beautiful people.
Yeah, you have a teammate, exactly. But what was fascinating was watching her having to deal with the fact that she's not top of the pyramid in Sunset Boulevard. Jamie Lloyd is top of the pyramid. Yeah. It's his vision. It's his. He is where the buck stops. And watching her, I don't think that has happened to her for a very long time. So watching her having to come to terms with that was fascinating. And ultimately, it's what brought out the incredible work she does, is that she dealt with it, got over the ego. She got over the ego, exactly.
I'm so sorry, Nicole. I love you. Please come on my show.
But whether she talked about it in those terms or not, she probably would. But she had to like let go and go. This isn't Nicole Scherzinger now. I'm serving this piece, and she did it. And that's what Jamie engenders. He's got this thing now where I think we'd all run through a brick wall for him because it's mad. It's incredible.
Now, it's funny because when I was 16, 17, I had tattoos and a mohawk and piercings, and my theatre company were like, "You're too weird for us now, go away." Whereas this guy's winning bloody awards.
Oh, yeah.
Goodness gracious
me. Anything
me.
goes now, man.
I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter. Not bitter at all.
All about the work.
Yeah, so just to throw some shade there before we move us on. Now, Glenn Close at 80 years old wants to do the movie version, so she'll be Glenn at 80 playing a 50-year-old playing a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
And isn't this like the whole plot of Sunset Boulevard anyways? So
yeah, she could tell a different story, obviously, but that's a different story to the one in Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah, it would work on stage, but yes. Oh, yes, Nancy Olsen, who played Betty Schaefer in the movie, is still alive today.
Whoa.
And I thought that was amazing, whereas most of the other people died before we were born.
She's still I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, I think she's like 102 now.
Whoa.
Yeah, Gloria Swanson had been trying to make a musical version of it, had been making a musical version. Paramount were fine with it until they decided not to and pulled the rights from her because they actually didn't want it to dilute the brand.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Anyways, and obviously Sondheim, but Billy Wilder said to him it would work more as an opera, so it makes more sense being in Andrew Lloyd Webber's hands.
Yeah.
Faye Dunaway was meant to take over Glenn Close in the Los Angeles production, then got fired because she couldn't sing the part. So she sued. Patty sued because she didn't get the part on Broadway. So it ended up being the most costly musical before it opened because of all these lawsuits from people.
That doesn't take into account the set.
And the set, yes.
The most staggeringly expensive set ever assembled.
Yeah. And which was the problem in Melbourne, that and having Debbie Byrne out sick all the time, it was just too costly to run.
Oh, it's Debbie Byrne. Well, there you go. See, she's exactly who I was thinking. You know, with your mad Australian pedigree, I didn't realize it was her. When it would make sense to, was it?
Yeah, she was obviously Fontaine on the Les Mis symphonic cast recording, which you can see on YouTube. A pro shot of, I think it was 1988, Les Misérables with the Australian cast did a concert version.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah, fantastic.
Oh, you have seen it? Yeah.
Great cast.
Well, anyways, I'm ready for my ad break, Mr. DeMille. G'day listeners, Aaron here, and we're back with another round of Bloop Network news. And this week I'm joined by Mr. J-Wags. How's it going?
Hello! Things are going great up here in New York. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. Have you noticed, like, every time I host, my arms do a Muppet thing?
Oh, yeah. It's just like, yeah. It just shows excitement. It doesn't come across as much on radio.
Yeah. No, it doesn't, because obviously, thankfully, people don't get to see it. But anyways, we're here with this week's news update on all things Bloop Network. Now, start off with 80 Plays. And Lizzie B has just finished up her run, another run, I think her fourth contract on I don't want to get murdered or slaughtered or cancelled, in London's West End with Sister Act the musical. So congratulations to Queen Lizzie and the team for that. And also to friend of the show, Glenn Slater, as well. And also, Alfie Parker is still on the road. I think he's got 3 more stops. So I think they're finishing up in Liverpool.
For UK and Australia tours, are they also roughly a year? Because I know in the US that tends to be like a standard contract for a tour. But I also know that the UK is much smaller geographically than Australia and the US.
Well, actually, funnily enough, on this tour, it's been going for a year and something, like a year and a half, I think, or a year and 3 months. 33 stops all up. So it's only a week or so or sometimes 2 weeks, but mostly it's a week in each stop. Whereas Australia, typically a big tour like that will come here for a minimum of about 3 months, and that'll be longer in Melbourne.
So it's more of a sit down each time.
Yeah, it's more of a sit down. And Alfie will be finishing up in Liverpool at the start of October with Sister Act. So if you're in the UK, get to see it, because it is a fantastic production and Alfie is a superstar. Anyways, now what have you got going on, Mr. J-Wags?
Well, currently I am music directing, sound designing, and teaching at the Second City, New York City. So if you are in New York City and you are interested in some of the best sketch comedy in the world, come on out. I'm also understudying the main stage show, Ruthless Acts of Kindness, and I've been in for that show over a dozen times at this point. So if you come on out, you could see me behind the keys. And of course, anyone who's looking to learn from Mr. J-Wags can take one of my classes. This term I'm teaching Improv 1 and Conservatory 1, which means it's an archive show based on scenes from the Second City's previous 65 years. So that'll be fun coming up. Also, I've got that folk musical I've been working on with my partner, Sarah and the Seed, and we are doing a giant fundraising drive. So if anyone is psyched about funding new and independent musicals, head on out to sarahandtheseed.com. That's the name Sarah with an H at the end, sarahandtheseed.com. And we have a financial sponsorship through Island Lens, which is a 501c3 nonprofit. So if you are in the US and you donate, all of your donations will be tax deductible. Yeah. So that's been a lot of my time. Incorporating a business is hard, especially in New York City. We definitely could have picked an easier metro area to try to incorporate in, but we're here. We've done it. We have an LLC. Our liability is limited.
Yep, wonderful. And it is a really good show. I've listened to it a couple of times now. And
thank you.
I hope to one day get my hands on the script and direct it. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Okay. Anyways, and you've also got the dohyo.
Oh, yes. For those of you who love sumo wrestling and this voice, you will definitely want to check out my YouTube channel, the Mr. J-Wags channel, and our flagship show, The Dohyo. Hot Sumo Talk, where local celebrity, Mr. J-Wags, talks about sumo topics of the day and puts them in a historical context. We just dropped a huge episode about outlier Yokozuna runs. So Yokozuna is the top rank of sumo, and we have been working to find out what the standard is for promotion over time. So the last episode on this, we focused on the stats, and this one we are focusing on the stories. So it ends up being, I think, maybe our longest episode we've ever done. It's like over 27 minutes. Took a ton of research, and feedback seems to be great on it so far.
I did start it and I realized that I hadn't watched the weeks before, so I have to go back and watch that one, and I did.
Watch as many of them as you want.
Yes, no, I do.
In order, different devices.
With my coffees in the morning, and if there's a new dohyo, or if I have a couple of YouTube channels that I watch. Okay, now, so Spencer hasn't got any news at the moment that he can announce. Keyword can. So there are things maybe in the works that hopefully he can announce very soon. If you've been listening to his podcast and the EGOT goes to, he is still looking for panelists for the Emmy Awards, the Grammy Awards, and the Oscars. So obviously theatre is his thing, but apparently finding TV, music, and film fans amongst theatre people is pretty hard. So if you're listening out there and you want to get involved in podcasting, hit Spencer up on the social media.
I'm a bit of a film buff, but I haven't it's sort of like my baseball love. Like in the past 10 years, I haven't really kept up with all the new people and the new players. But it's like, oh, okay, Timothy Chalamet, Zendaya. Sure, these are people now who I have to know. Yeah, now we know.
Yep. No, I'm the same.
What is a Glenn Powell? I'm just figuring that out.
I don't know who Glenn Powell is still. And actually, I do know him from Jurassic World, Camp Cretaceous. And if you want to tell the listeners what poster is actually on the wall behind my shoulder here.
Lost World with number 2?
Yeah.
We're talking the second one? Okay.
Yes.
I remember. I saw that in a drive-in. That's how long ago I saw that one.
I love that movie so much. I know it's pretty not loved, but I don't care. I love it. So if you're into film, TV, and music, it's to cover the Emmys, Grammys, and Oscars. So the format's going to be a little bit different to the Tony Awards, obviously. But yes, so please get in contact with Spencer.
We are looking to expand the team here at Thrash and Treasure. So if you ever thought you too could talk to one of us and a special guest for 90 minutes at a time, we are looking for you, especially if you are interested in heavy metal, are a part of heavy metal in any way, have been in a metal band. We would love to get your specific experience on the show.
We're looking for 1 or 2 people to join. So email us at networkbloop@gmail.com. and let us know your interests. We've had a couple of interested parties so far, so we're going to go through and sort of screen everyone, see who bounces off us well, who can keep up with me and Jonathan, basically.
We're just so good at this.
Yeah.
We're so good.
So that's going to be really weird. I'll have to put that right at the very end of the episode. Anyways, I think that's probably about it. It's a very messy news, as always.
Yes, come to Second City, New York. I'm doing a show every other Monday called Second City Presents with a celebrity guest. We had Scott Adsit and Tammy Sager. We had Padma Lakshmi, like every week. Every time we do it, a new guest.
Awesome. And also, if you are in the New York City area, be sure to go see our guest of this episode, David Thaxton, in Sunset Boulevard, starring alongside the Nicole Scherzinger. I really should totally come on the show. And we're back with Thrash and Treasure. I'm Aaron, and I'm joined by Olivier Award-winning Best Actor, Mr. David Thaxton. What is one thing you fail miserably at that everybody else seems to do perfectly well?
What's one thing that I fail miserably at that everyone else does perfectly well? I'll give you a stagey answer.
Oh, I hate that word.
But do you? That's a very UK word.
This is why we get picked on at school. I'm so stagey. Oh, no, stop it, kids. Stop it. Sorry. I'm going to hell.
I think we use it in an ironic sense.
Sorry, I love Lizzie B and Alfie Parker and Diane and Caroline and all my British friends.
All your British friends, all your stagey British friends. Do you want to run a day-to-day answer?
Yes, of things that you suck at that everybody else can do perfectly well.
Okay, can you swim?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I grew up in Australia, mate.
Exactly. So you're all like swim like eels.
Yeah.
So I can swim, right? I can swim on holiday and I cannot do swimming as any form of exercise.
Really?
Just pointless. Front crawl, no.
Yeah, just doggy paddle.
Just get off. A little breaststroke, lovely, but nothing. I can't. Front crawl, get off me. Put your face in, like open my eyes underwater. No, terrible.
Yeah, no, I grew up in Australia. There's like 7 or 8 beaches near me.
Of course, it's like, yeah, that's your whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And as kids, like we used to just go down the beach when I'd stay at my nana's. Well, she'd be at the tea room or something like that. We'd just go down for a swim, unsupervised as children. Even then by myself a lot of the times. I would question, how the fuck am I still alive? I don't know, but I'm sitting here today.
And isn't there the greatest collection of things that can kill you in one country?
Yeah.
In Australia.
Yeah. And it's not just been this country that's nearly killed me too. But anyways, speaking of nearly killing you, what terrifies you about a role so much that it makes you want to give it a go?
Oh, great question. It would be something like being out of your comfort zone. Actors, we all have a thing that we do well. It's turned. If you look back on my career, there's a lot of authority figures, like lots of soldiers or policemen or that kind of thing. Lots of that sort of people in authority. There's a lot of that, and that would be exciting if there was something that was really different to that. But then you have to question, is someone else going to do that better than you because that's more who they are. But
yeah, so not like doing your own stunts like Tom Cruise jumping out of a plane or something.
That's just I just would not do that.
You wouldn't do it?
No,
not even like it's so terrifying that you would do it.
Well, no, what's the point? Good God.
Oh, I went to Hawaii and I wanted to skydive there because I said if I'm going to die midair, it's going to be above Jurassic Park because I'm so skinny. Like if a big gust of wind's going to come along, it's going to blow me away.
Right. Yeah.
Let that happen over Jurassic Park. All right. That's just paradise.
But
please.
You did it. You went skydiving.
No, because my parents forgot their passport. So it was this whole thing because it was my birthday present.
Oh my God. Have you done a bungee jump? That's a very Aussie thing to do.
No, that I can't do because of my spine.
Okay.
That's a health thing that I can't do.
Fine.
Update listeners at home. I still haven't gotten my x-rays, by the way. That's a whole other story. We'll get to that next time I have a co-host on and we'll do that in the banter at the start of it. But anyways, you did Les Mis numerous times.
Yep.
So how high is your therapy bill?
Pretty high, but not because of Les Mis. No, I have nothing but joy and wonder to say about Les Mis. It's Les Mis, man.
Yeah.
I could talk about Les Mis for days. I mean, I have a lot of opinions on Les Mis, but
Oh, good or bad?
Both.
Yeah.
Loads. I've just got a lot to say about it. But I've done it a lot. I've been in it a lot.
I hear it a lot. It's it's the mega musical. It's the British Invasion, kids. It's a French musical, please.
Yeah.
So it's the French Invasion, obviously. But I don't think it would have gotten to where it wouldn't induce goosebumps in so many people if it wasn't good.
Exactly.
Whilst, yes, it's been done to death and it's toured the same production a million times. And we would love to see something different done with it visually, not with projections, please.
Do you not like the projections?
No, I'm not I know you've got them obviously in Sunset, so I won't criticize because you've also got scaffolding as well.
It's not projections. It's live video.
Oh, yes, they do the whole. So that's the whole thing.
So everything is live. Yeah.
But it's also not to do the production cheaply. I was actually supposed to mention this before because I do go on a lot about scaffolding on stage, about having the band on stage.
Yeah. Our band is not on stage though, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
Oh, that's right then. If it's not just to save money, if it's for actual the aesthetic of your show, what you're doing with your show, like what they're doing with Sunset is obviously a thing. It's an aesthetic design thing that they've stripped back the show for that reason. Cool. I'm all with that if it makes sense. But if you're just putting scaffolding on stage to be edgy.
Yeah. No, I would agree with you. I totally agree with you.
We've seen Jesus Christ Superstar 1,000 times done like that. You want to be edgy with that? Do it in like sandals and tunics or whatever they're called from, do it in the middle of the fucking desert, that looking like they're in ruins or something in a temple. That would refreshen the show.
The original movie?
No, because even then it's all modernized. They've got like vans and stuff in it. I'm talking about not modernizing it.
Oh, I see. Right, fine.
Doing an actual genuinely biblical version of it.
But that's what they do. When they turn up in their van, they are the players, aren't they? And then they put it on in the desert. They do the show in the desert. But what's great there is they crucify him, and then they all get back in the van and leave him up there.
It's like a bachelor party.
That's the thing about that movie. It's mind-blowing because the troupe of actors turn up, the This is the Goththorpe
Yeah.
community players turn up to do Jesus Christ Superstar in the desert. They do it all accurate. They crucify him, and then everyone but Jesus gets back in the van and goes home. But they leave him up there.
It's been a while since I've seen it.
I would agree with you about the scaffolding. I will say our set is very much, it's designed to it within an inch of its life. It's all about the vivid space. Is what we're watching in Norma's mind. Is it a movie? Is it a show? Who knows? There's very specific reasons for it, which definitely works.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Anyways, what's your relationship with standing ovations? As an audience member and cast member, do they feel genuine these days?
My personal relationship with them as an audience member is I will be brutal. If I don't think something deserves it and everyone else does, I will be the guy that sits there. I will never get up unless I genuinely believe in it. And I don't care what that looks like. And I've seen several things that people think are the bollocks. And I'm like, this is 7 out of 10 at best, lad. What are we doing?
It doesn't look bad you sitting there. It looks bad people standing up so regimentally without any excitement at all.
Yeah, exactly.
It's patronizing.
From the stage, you can tell when it's real or when it's not. Like, you can tell. There's been a few things I've done where it's a visceral thing. We get standing ovations mid-show in Sunset Boulevard. We did in London at several points. And the first time it happened on our first preview, this would be a spoiler alert. I mean, the whole world knows what happens at the start of Act 2. But just in case you don't, and just in case you're coming to see it in New York and you don't know anything, I'm not going to say what it is. But this thing happens at the start of Act 2. First preview we did in London, when it happened for the first time, when no one knew what was going on. Nothing on Twitter or nothing on TikTok or nothing like that. This thing happened, and there was this visceral reaction from the audience when it happened, and people got to their feet. And some people like made whoa kind of noises as they say. That was amazing. That was genuinely special.
And now your fans can isolate that audio of you making that noise and make it as their ringtone.
My fans, all 3 of them.
Oh, look, you've got 2 more than I do. Anyways, I was actually saying to my friend the other day, are you my super fan? Because he listens to every episode and he read my novels and he's just, good supporter. And he's my super fan. So shout out to Drew.
Hey, Drew.
Anyways, who's been your best scene partner and why was it Caroline Sheen?
Yeah, lovely. I did disappointingly little acting with Caroline in that show.
Oh, really? I haven't watched it all yet.
We had very few scenes together, like one at the beginning. In fact, I think we had, considering we were playing husband and wife, we had 2 short scenes together, and that was it. Because the premise was that my character was off being in the war.
One to conceive the baby, and then one when the baby was born.
Yeah, basically.
Because I flicked through. Because what happened was, right, I downloaded, but I wasn't actually sure if it was your production of it or if it was another one. So I had to sort of look through.
Yeah.
And sort of not having met you on Zoom or anything like that, only seeing pictures, I had to try to find you in costume, didn't I? And then, obviously, I know Caroline from having her on the show and speaking to her on Zoom. So I had to sort of try to find where's the blonde lady in this. And I found her. Turns out that definitely wasn't Caroline. So I kept searching, and then I found Caroline with a baby.
Yes.
And then I realized, yes, no, this is the one, definitely.
Yeah,
and then I took it back a little bit and I saw there was a whole opening scene. But yeah, speaking of scaffolding and screens on the stage.
Yes, there were projections in that. That's true.
Look, it was a premiere production of an original Welsh musical. I'm not going to criticize it at all. On this show, we judge the shows themselves as a written text, not the performances, not the productions.
Yes.
If anything, because these shows are meant to be versatile. They're like fairy tales. You can do Cinderella 1,000 different ways.
Exactly.
Anyways, what's your who was your greatest scene partner? Sorry.
Gosh, think about the stuff I've done. I've never really had roles that have had such a really intense, close relationship with anyone else.
Jean Valjean and Javert get pretty heated.
I was going to say would probably be John Robbins then, because we did Andras and Marius in Les Mis together in 2008.
That first name you said, how do you pronounce it?
Well, Enjolras. You don't actually say the S, do you?
I don't know how to pronounce it. That's why I'm asking.
I think we were told in the production to say Enjolras, but I don't think you would say that in French. But we did whatever that character is called. I've always called him Enjolras. And John was Marius, and we shared dressing room for a year, and then back then we were, 26 and thrilled about life and just said, well, it would be really amazing one day if we play Valjean and Javert, wouldn't it? Well, imagine that. And then fast forward however many years later, and we did. It was like we never stopped. It was like that first rehearsal was like we'd finished rehearsing on Friday and just come back after the weekend. And it's sort of an incredible second sight kind of thing with him. It's quite almost telepathic. I just I just always know what to do with him there. It's weird. Yeah. So I'd probably say Johnny. Yeah.
Sorry, Caroline.
Sorry, Caroline.
Oh,
I'd like to do something with Caroline where I'd had more than like a collective minute and a half acting with her.
oh, you could. I've Dreamcast Chicago with Caroline as Roxy and Diane as Velma. And this was to Neil Roberts, to Diane's husband, when I had him on the show.
Okay, fine. Yeah, love Diane. She's great.
Neil as Billy Flynn and Michael Gibson as Amos.
Nice.
So you could be Mary Sunshine.
Perfect. There we go. Perfect. Would I get to act with Caroline? I don't think I would. But never mind.
Oh, no, you wouldn't. And Nicole Faraday is Matron Mama Morton, obviously with the Bad Girls.
It's a good cast, man.
I know. Producers, hello, give me a call. And 10%. Most embarrassing moment with a fan or famous person.
Oh, most embarrassing moment with a famous person after Come From Away. You know, those shows that are quite exciting, like that. People come and see it. We had a lot of that in Sunset Boulevard. A lot of people come and see stuff, and fine, all lovely. But with Come From Away, Michael Palin came to see the show.
Oh, wow.
And for me, Monty Python is, of course, just such a huge, and it's impossible to overstate how important Monty Python was in my upbringing. There goes my washing machine. So Michael Palin came with Ottolenghi, the chef, as well. Bizarrely, I don't know. I've forgotten his first name, but that sort of vegan chef. So anyway, my most embarrassing moment, Michael Palin came to see Come From Away, and whenever someone famous like that comes, you can meet them afterwards. So who wrote? It's Margaret Atwood.
The Handmaid's Tale.
Handmaid's Tale, yeah. She came, and everyone was very excited. And I don't know who that is, and so I didn't go to stage afterwards, isn't it? But it's in Michael Palin's in, so it's like, okay, I've got to go and see Michael Palin. So I met Michael Palin, and we'd had a little chat about stuff, and it was all very excellent. And then just before I left, I shook his hand, and I said, have to say that she must get this kind of thing all the time, but I just got to say thank you so much for all that you've done for me over the years. And obviously he must get this from a certain person who is like me and a bit older. He must get this all the time. And I made such a tit of myself that he was so, as famously, Michael Palin's a very nice man. Everyone always said that. And he is a very nice man. He was so lovely. He said, oh, no, tonight's all about you. This is all about you. And he was so lovely. He made it all so lovely. But I made such a twat of myself. But because Michael Palin is a really nice guy, he made it all right. And then I went away buzzing. That made my week. I met Michael Palin.
Well, then it wasn't that embarrassing.
The moment was terrible. Thank you so much for all you've done. I mean, look.
It's like, who the fuck are you, kid?
Yeah, exactly.
That happens on this show when I have a guest on that was in the original Australian cast of Rent, production that changed my life, that took me from this tortured gay kid to just being able to be myself and dress how I wanted to and act like myself.
Huge.
And it wasn't even like the LGBT themes in it or anything like that. It was just the whole show. And so I've had these original cast members and I'm sitting there, I'm like, thank you so much for like saving my life, and I look like an idiot.
Thank you so much. But we all have that. So many people, when Bowie did Starman on Top of the Pops for the first time, and he points down the camera, and I had to pick on someone, so I picked on you, and a million people's lives change because they just go, oh God, look, he's talking to me. This is just something about that. Yeah, we've all got that. We've absolutely all got that.
Now, if you could Freaky Friday with a musical character, who would it be?
But the character. So I'm actually being the character. I'm not playing the role.
And the character takes over your life.
Character takes over my life. Well, that adds another dimension. Who do I want looking after my life? Great question. I would do that with... Oh, that's such a good question. Let's say something like, oh my actual God.
That is a hard one, isn't it?
That is a hard one. Because you've added this dimension. Which character from musical theatre would I trust to not completely ruin my life before we swap back?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say, let's say, no, this is really hard. That's really, really hard. I'd have thought, if I'd known about that before, I'd have given that weeks of consideration. Because you don't want to go like, oh yeah, I'd like to. I don't want to. I don't want to really be any of the characters I've played because I think they're all in their own ways. Nearly all of them are such a hot mess. They've all got a lot going on, and I don't think I'd want to. You don't want I don't want to walk around with Javert's mindset.
No. And
would I want him running the household? I don't think I would. No. While I was off being him. Maybe Jean Valjean. He's a very kind man, isn't he? He'd look after. He'd do the right thing when he was in my body, and it would be interesting to experience his wealth of suffering and his positivity and his wisdom.
Wade through the Paris sewers.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Ugh.
Yeah, very Shawshank Redemption. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to know a fun fact? Do you know who invented is it the British sewer system or the French sewer system?
Go on.
It was the great-great-grandfather of Peter Bazalgette. Is it Peter Bazalgette from, what band is that?
Oh, Bazalgette.
Bazalgette from Turning Japanese or the Vapors?
Yes, yeah.
And also, no, Peter Bazalgette was the executive producer of Big Brother UK. Like that family is connected to either the London sewer system or the French sewer system.
Right. Oh, that's the same people.
It's the same people. Like that's the whole weird thing. They went from cleaning up the sewers to putting it on TV.
So hang on, is this Joseph Bazalgette, the English civil engineer? Yeah.
Yeah.
He did the creation of the sewage system for London. There's a Bazalgette way near us.
I'm not crazy, people. I'll say this sort of stuff all the time, and people look at me like I'm fucking mental. And I'm like, no, like it's legitimate.
No, that's real.
It is real. I am not crazy.
There you go. Look, notable descendants. Will Bazalgette, great-grandson, RCAF pilot awarded the Victoria Cross. Edward Bazalgette, great-great-grandson, musician and television director. And Sir Peter Bazalgette, great-great-grandson, television producer. There you go.
So it must be the middle one. That's the Vapors, I think, Turning Japanese.
Yeah, I think so. He was lead guitarist of the rock group, the Vapors.
Oh my God,
That's amazing. You have nailed that. That's great knowledge.
Anyways, we're going to move on very, very quickly. Divisions is your band.
Yeah.
Any aspirations to write a concept album?
Yeah, that's definitely we love prog rock. Me and Matt have never talked about that, but that is something that could definitely work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our drummer Lloyd, who we talked about, he's also the drummer in a brilliant metal band called 13th Sign.
Oh, is he? Oh, wow.
Their albums they often release a concept album. So yeah, I love a concept album. We're big prog rock fans, so never say never.
I mean, it doesn't have to be prog rock. It could be any style of music, really.
Absolutely, but yeah, but you tend to find more in prog, don't you? But I love a concept album. They're good fun.
Yeah. Well, if you need a book writer, I have novels. Anyways.
There you go. Yes, you do.
I do. And plays. What's this one? Frosty the Showman.
Hello. Oh my God. Right, I'll look that up.
Yeah, I don't just interview people that are way above my pay grade. I'm trying to become one of them. Anyways, which inanimate objects make the best instruments? Besides pots and pans, obviously.
Yes, it's things like the reason they make great instruments is because they have a tone to them. So it's stuff that you get like a nice sort of a note out of. Anything like that. Anything I would just like hitting something isn't enough. I like it when you have a sort of a bit of music rather than just flat noise. Something with a bit of sound, a lovely note.
The chair that I sit on at my desk squeaks as I twist around, so I quite often find myself doing little rhythms.
Perfect.
Here and there.
Great.
Like stomp.
Yeah, a one-man stomp.
That's it. They should bring back stomp. Anyways, last question. Last time you jumped in a puddle for fun?
Sadly, it's too long ago to remember.
That is
Isn't that
sad.
depressing? But that's life, isn't it?
Goodness sake, we have some wonderful answers to that question, like people jumping in them with their children and their puppies, or they were just walking home and they felt like it as a grown-ass adult. And I'm like, yeah,
just so free.
yes.
But maybe Callum, my little boy, he'll be into that soon. He's nearly walking. So let's say there's a positive note to end on. It's in my future, isn't it? It's coming up any minute now.
Yes, also wait, listeners at home, because David picked both albums today. I picked a metal album he knows, so we've already planned to have you back on the show in the future. So hopefully we can do Only the Brave as the musical and maybe get Caroline on.
Great. Let's do that. Yeah, we'll do a double feature.
Yes.
Nice. There we go. Yeah, I'm well up for that. Yeah, we'll definitely do that.
But just quickly before I let you go though, where can our listeners find you on the social medias?
You can find me on social medias. I think they're all at Young Thaco.
Yep.
THACKO. I think they're all at Young Thaco.
Yep. Awesome. Alrighty, and for our listeners at home, we're not going to leave you with our normal theme this week. We are going to leave you with Quiet Frustrations by Divisions, which is David's band. So check them out on Spotify or streaming or wherever you listen to music. Thank you so much.
Good stuff. Thank you so much.
I hope it didn't go too long, or we did a little bit.
No, it's perfect. It's great. It's all good, man. Thanks so much.
Anyways, the listeners at home, you take care. Thank you for listening, and we shall see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Hooroo!
emotions I carry all day, a sickening feeling that won't go away. I don't have the words to express what I want to say. Suspended with nothing, a cushion of below, wept after death, but with nothing to show. These quiet frustrations are all that I'll ever
Whoa!